Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're not just peeking under the big top. We're really plunging into the shadows, aren't we? Into this world that feels like a mix of, well, everything. High wire acts, sheer survival, and then bam, this sudden shocking violence.
And it's all seen through this fascinating, sometimes unreliable lens of an old man's memory.
Exactly. So our mission today is to get into this really dense stack of material about Jacob Jankowski and his time with the Benzini Brothers' most spectacular show on Earth, right smack in the middle of the Great Depression.
Yeah, and this isn't just about a story. We're digging into the specifics, the actual culture of this, lost world. The hierarchies, these incredibly complex, sometimes terrifying people.
And a history, too, right?
Yeah,
The real-life stuff that actually happened and grounds this whole narrative.
absolutely. It's grounded in a pretty grim reality, you find.
What's really striking is how we get these two different viewpoints, these two timelines. We see Jacob at 23, super educated but completely broke, thrown onto a train, basically fighting for his life.
And then flip forward decades, and he's in his 90s, and the fight is totally different. It's against his own body falling apart, against...
Against the mushy peas, tapioca, and depends undergarments, as the source puts it. It's quite the contrast.
It really is. And that dual perspective, that's what makes these sources so powerful, I think. You, the listener, you get the rush, the sort of frantic energy of the young guy discovering this hidden, dangerous world.
And then you get the quiet reflection, the maybe wisdom, or just the exhaustion of a long life looking back.
It's like a shortcut, isn't it, to getting properly informed about what circus life was really like back then. Not just the sparkle, but the darkness underneath.
Okay, let's dive in. And we start not under canvas, but somewhere quite different. Cornell University. Jacob Jankowski is literally days away from graduation.
Days away from grabbing that American dream.
Yeah, he's 23, poised, about to become a doctor of veterinary medicine, Ivy League. I mean, that's a golden ticket, especially in the 1930s.
The source material paints that last normal moment so vividly. He's in an anatomy lecture, students are fidgeting, his pencil rolls away. It's the absolute calm before the storm.
And the storm hits hard. He gets called out. The dean tells him his parents were killed. Instantly. Car crash. Just like that.
A complete personal wipeout. But then comes the second blow, the one that really sends him off the rails, pardon the pun, the economic one.
Right. Because this is the Great Depression. He goes to the lawyer, probably expecting, something. The family practice, the house.
E. Jankowski and Son. His legacy, sort of. But there's nothing. Less than nothing, actually. The practice, the home, gone. The bank took it all.
But the reason why, that's the gut punch. He finds out his dad wasn't really charging people properly. He was taking payment in, what was it?
Beans and eggs, the sources say. Chickens, other goods, basically whatever people could scrape together.
So his father was essentially keeping the community afloat with his veterinary skills, but sinking his own family financially.
Exactly. It connects Jacob's personal tragedy directly to the larger economic disaster of the Depression. Even a vital business couldn't survive if the owner prioritized people over profit during that time.
And then the final twist of the knife for Jacob, the realization why they were in debt.
After 30 years of owning the house, free and clear, they took out a huge mortgage, specifically to pay for his Cornell tuition. His Ivy League dream cost them everything.
That moment. The source says he just doubles over on the sidewalk, clutching his stomach. The guilt, the grief, it's physical.
It is. Parents, home, future career, all gone. And this terrible weight of knowing his education was the catalyst for their financial ruin. What do you even do then?
Well, he goes back to Cornell, but only because his room's paid for a few more days. He doesn't even wait for the graduation ceremony. He just leaves, runs.
He's not running to anything, though. He's running from the wreckage.
Yeah.
He ends up jumping a train, student to, fugitive overnight.
And that train jump isn't romantic, is it? It's
No.
terrifying. He lands in a car with these really rough guys, the roustabouts.
And his first welcome is from Blackie. The source is blunt about him. Blackie specializes in throwing people off trains. It's described as one of the perks of Blackie's job, chilling.
Jacob, still in his college clothes, nearly gets tossed right then. What does that tell you immediately about this new world?
Two things, I think. One, survival is moment to moment. Two, there are no rules, or at least not the rules he knows. He swapped the structure of Cornell for the absolute violent authority of Uncle Al, the circus owner, enforced by guys like Blackie.
His only value is what he knows, his brain.
Which is put to the test pretty quickly when he meets Uncle Al and, crucially, August. the equestrian director, who happens to need a vet.
Apparently, the last one didn't quite grasp the concept of scheduling.
Yeah, the source has this darkly funny line. The vet was gone because he didn't seem to understand that the advance man was gone out in advance, hence the name. It just hints at the constant chaos, the potential for people to just disappear.
So Jacob, the almost Ivy League doctor of veterinary medicine, gets hired for $9 a week.
$9 and a place to sleep in a horse car, trading a potential six-figure future for spare change and a damp blanket. It's an incredible fall from grace.
Okay, so Jacob's on the train. He's got a job, sort of. But the first real lesson isn't about animals. It's about the social structure, right? This incredibly rigid class system on the Benzini Brothers show.
Oh, absolutely. It hits you right away. The sources make it crystal clear. There are two distinct groups, and that division dictates everything. Your food, your sleeping arrangements, your value, even your life expectancy, basically.
You've got the workers,
Oh,
the U.S.
right. The roustabouts, the guys driving stakes, the canvas men, the security like Earl and Blackie. They're the muscle, the engine of the whole operation. Utterly essential, but also completely disposable.
And they live rough, setting up this entire canvas city every single day, moving tons of equipment, the description of the stake driving like machine gun fire, nonstop hard labor.
And they sleep rough, too. Crammed into stock cars under filthy blankets, all in right next to the animals. No privacy, no comfort.
And Jacob gets told this explicitly by Camel, one of the older roustabouts. What does he say?
He lays it out plain. There's them and there's us, and you're us. Don't get any ideas above your station. You're labor. You're expendable.
And then there's them, the performers,
Yeah.
the management, the kinkers, as the workers call them.
Yeah, the artists, the aerialists, the equestrians like Marlena, August himself, they're treated with a certain respect, have privileges.
They sleep in later, arrive on the lot later, they don't do the dirty work.
And they have their own spaces, better train cars, like Car 48, where August and Marlena have a private stateroom. It's a world away from the stench and grime of the roustabout cars.
Even the food situation highlights this divide, doesn't it? The cookhouse scenes.
Definitely. The roustabouts line up early. It's a long, dirty queue for basic fuel. But later, the kinkers come in. They sit at tables with tablecloths, red and white checks, the source notes, silverware. Even little vases of flowers sometimes.
So it's not just about better food, which they probably got, but it's about the whole experience. Maintaining that separation, keeping the glamour away from the grit.
Exactly. It's psychological as much as physical. The performers shouldn't have to see the sheer drudgery that makes their act possible.
And this hierarchy wasn't just about comfort. It dictated how you were treated and, crucially, how you could be removed.
Yeah.
The language they use tells you a lot.
The jargon is key. The paying public, the townsfolk, they're rubes, or suckers. Uncle Al, the owner, sees them purely as cash cows to be milked.
But the term that really sends a chill down your spine is red-lighted.
Yeah, that's not just getting fired. Well, it's a death sentence, potentially, or at least a sentence to extreme hardship. It means being thrown off the moving train.
No warning, no severance pay, just grabbed by guys like Blackie and Earl and tossed out.
And if the train happens to be going over a bridge, a trestle, well, the fall could be fatal. It's brutal. And it's how Uncle Al maintains control in this world with no real laws or HR department, pure fear.
But alongside the brutality, there was this sharp understanding of what people would pay for, especially during the Depression. People craved escape, any kind of escape. Which brings us to the couch tent.
Ah, yes, the couch tent. It's described in quite a bit of detail, and it's there for a reason. It shows how sex appeal was just another commodity explicitly monetized.
The Barker, Cecil. He's got this whole routine, right?
Yeah.
Very clever in a cynical way.
Very. He separates the men from the women. He uses this fake politeness, suggesting the ladies have delicate sensibilities and should go see some tame horse trick.
While the men, presumably lacking those sensibilities, are invited to pay their quarter for the real show.
And the show is Barbara the dancer. The sources give this really frank, almost detached description of her act. The redhead, the lacquered nails, the slow reveal.
And then the focus on the physical aspect. The majestic globes, as the text calls them, and how they hang, how they move. It's quite graphic.
It is. And the finale. Well, it's described with startling specificity. Barbara sucking her own nipple shamelessly, while the men cheer and wave their hats. It's presented as this raw, almost primal release for the audience.
And you see it not as shocking, necessarily, but as a function of the times. This is how Barbara survives. This is how the circus makes extra cash.
Exactly. After the show, she takes gentlemen callers, 50 cents a visit, limited number per night. It's just business.
And the stark contrast. Jacob, the Ivy League vet in waiting, helps stack chairs afterwards.
Mhm.
For that labor, tearing down the tent, he earns $1.
$1. It perfectly encapsulates his fall, doesn't it? Stacking chairs for less than what 2 men pay for a few minutes with Barbara, his education means almost nothing in this economy.
Moving up the hierarchy, we really need to grapple with August. The equestrian director and superintendent of animals, he's central to everything, isn't he? And such a contradiction.
Absolutely, he's the embodiment of the circus's duality. Incredible skill and terrifying instability, all wrapped up in one person.
The sources show he could be charming, right? It wasn't all darkness.
No, not at all. He could be gracious, charming, and mischievous, especially when he wanted something or someone, like Marlena, his wife. He woos her, gives her this expensive diamond necklace.
And he recognizes Jacob's value, too, eventually. He gives Jacob that gold pocket watch, which, given Jacob just lost his father's watch, is a really significant, almost sensitive gesture.
It shows he understands motivation, how to cultivate loyalty, when it suits him.
But that charm could vanish in a second. Marlena reveals the other side, the extreme violence.
And it's not just hints, it's specific, horrific incidents she tells Jacob about. A worker losing an arm, another losing an eye. These aren't accidents, they're implied to be results of August's rage.
And the story about the previous horse trainer, a woman, driven to jump from the train after being tormented by August.
It paints a picture of sustained psychological torture alongside the physical threat. He terrorizes the people under his control.
And the system enables it. Uncle Al, the boss, basically shrugs it off. What's his justification?
He calls August paragon schizophrenic, which is, not a real term.
Jacob corrects him, paranoid schizophrenic.
Right. But Al doesn't care about the label. His point is brutally pragmatic. August is brilliant with the animals. The animals are the main draw, the big money makers. So his condition, his violence, it just has to be worked around.
His madness is literally factored in as a cost of doing business. Terrifying.
It really is. The value of the animals outweighs the safety, even the lives of the people working with them, in Al's calculation.
Which brings us to Marlena. She's August's wife, stuck in this situation, but she's also the star. And the source highlights her incredible connection with the horses.
Yes, even August acknowledges it. He says she has a God-given talent, a sixth sense, that she can practically talk to them, make them do things no one else can. She's the magic in the center ring, in her pink sequins.
But that talent meets tragedy with her best horse, Silver Star. Jacob has to deliver the bad news.
He diagnoses founder laminitis. And for you listening, this is a devastating condition in horses. Inflammation in the hoof, incredibly painful. The bone can actually rotate. It's often a death sentence for a performance horse.
Jacob's Cornell training kicks in. He knows it's irreversible. Silver Star needs to be put down.
And the scene where Jacob has to do it, August just hands him the rifle, very matter of fact.
Yeah.
But Jacob and Marlena share this moment of grief, of understanding. It creates a bond between them right there over the body of the horse.
And it's right after this loss that the circus acquires Rosie, the elephant, who arrives with the worst possible reputation.
Oh, yeah. She's considered a total waste of money. Bought cheap from a defunct circus whose owner, an elephant tramp, as Al calls him, adding a dirty Polak for good measure, had died.
Everyone says Rosie is dumb as a bag of hammers.
Yeah.
Useless. Just eats mountains of food and does nothing.
She's a massive drain on their already tight budget. Another bad decision by Uncle Al, it seems.
But Jacob, the observer, the vet, starts watching her. And he notices something.
He realizes she's not dumb. She just doesn't understand English. He remembers hearing the previous owner spoke Polish.
So he tries it. Just basic commands he recalls. Nog for foot, pros for please or do it.
And Rosie responds instantly, lifts her foot, even seems to smile, the source says. It's this incredible breakthrough. Jacob's intellect, his observation skills, unlock this supposedly useless animal.
This hidden language becomes the key. August, ever the opportunist, sees the potential immediately.
He forces Jacob to become Rosie's handler during the act, shouting the Polish commands. It makes Jacob indispensable for a time.
But interestingly, the source notes a change in August's behavior towards Rosie, too.
Yes, he stops using the bullhook, the tool of pain, as much. He still directs her, waves his cane, but there's this grudging respect. He recognizes her intelligence, realizes she can perform through understanding, not just fear.
So for a moment, knowledge Jacob's knowledge, Rosie's hidden knowledge, shifts the power dynamic. August needs them both.
As things progress, you really feel the constant underlying danger of this life. It wasn't just August's temper. The whole environment was precarious. And there were signals, warnings, that the public, the rubes, would never pick up on.
Like the Disaster March, which sounds pretty innocuous to outsiders.
Right. To the audience, it's just the band striking up Stars and Stripes forever. Patriotic, rousing.
But for the circus crew, it meant panic stations.
Exactly. That specific tune was the code. It meant something's gone bad, real bad. Fire, animals loose, a tent collapsing, a stampede, whatever it was. Every single employee had to drop everything and sprint towards the big top immediately.
It's fascinating, using a symbol of national pride as an internal alarm bell for chaos.
Yeah.
Keeps the rubes calm while the insiders know disaster is unfolding.
It's crowd control and crisis management rolled into one musical cue.
Another peril, one that hits close to Jacob through Camel, is historically very specific. Jake leg paralysis. This wasn't made up for the story, was it?
Not at all. This was a real, devastating public health crisis in the U.S. during Prohibition. Camel, like so many others desperate for alcohol, was drinking Jake, Jamaica ginger extract.
Which was legal technically as medicine, but people drank it for the alcohol content.
Yes. And to try and stop that, one manufacturer decided to adulterate it with a chemical plasticizer, thinking it would make it undrinkable. Try orthocressyl phosphate, TOCP.
But it didn't just taste bad. It caused catastrophic nerve damage.
Irreversible neurological damage. Paralysis, often starting in the legs, hence Jake leg. The sources mentioned tens of thousands affected, mostly in the South. It was a huge, tragic consequence of prohibition policy and corporate negligence.
Jacob, with his medical training, recognizes the symptoms in Camel immediately. That specific way of walking, the steppage gait, he knows is permanent.
Minimal recovery. Camel went from being a strong roustabout to essentially an invalid overnight.
And this is where Jacob's character really shines, but also where the circus's brutality is laid bare. Jacob feels compelled to help.
He uses that precious gold pocket watch. August gave him his last link to his father's memory, really to pay a town doctor to confirm the diagnosis for Camel. An act of real compassion.
But what does the diagnosis mean in the context of the Benzini Brothers show?
It means Camel is useless. He can't work. He can't pull his weight. And in that world, that means he's destined for one thing.
Red lighting.
He's going to be thrown off the train. Jacob knows it. Walter, also known as Kinko the Clown, knows it too. He'd already lost his dog Queenie that way. They try to hide Camel, protect him.
But this simmering resentment, this discarding of injured or inconvenient workers like Camel and Walter's dog, it builds up. And it leads directly to the final explosive climax.
The collapse of the whole show isn't an accident. It's revenge, planned and executed by the men who'd been red-lighted and somehow survived, or maybe just had nothing left to lose.
Jacob sees them returning. He sees Bill, another roustabout, and someone else deliberately provoking the animals in the menagerie tent, using ropes to stir them into a panic.
Their goal is maximum chaos. They unlock all the cage doors, lions, llamas, chimps, even the polar bear. They all stampede out, heading for the only way out through the big top where the show is in progress.
Jacob describes a panther sliding into the main tent. The sheer terror, the sound of the crowd panicking, trying to escape, the ultimate spectacle turned into a death trap.
But amidst all that chaos, the narrative focuses back on the central conflict. August, furious, confronting Marlena in the center ring.
He's described as red-faced and bellowing, flapping his arms and swinging his cane. He's about to strike her, probably.
And that's when Rosie acts?
The elephant.
Yeah.
The one they called dumb. She'd pulled her stake out of the ground earlier, which you now realize was probably deliberate.
She lifts that heavy iron stake, swings it high, and brings it down right on August's head.
The description is brutal, splitting his head like a watermelon.
It's a shocking moment of animal justice. Rosie, the victim of August's cruelty, delivers the final blow. It's retribution, plain and simple.
And the aftermath is just as brutal. August is dead, but so are Uncle Al and several others, the enforcers, the management. The roustabouts got their revenge. Jacob initially thinks Walter and Camel are among the dead, too, killed in the chaos or the reprisals.
Can Jacob himself barely escapes being red-lighted one last time as the whole operation disintegrates. He runs for his life again.
It's important to pause here and just note how much of this, even the seemingly outlandish parts, the author, Sara Gruen, based on actual research.
Oh, definitely. She dug deep into circus history, talked to archivists, former handlers, people who really knew that world. She wanted the details to be right.
Even strange things like the pickled hippo, that was real.
Apparently so. A dead hippo preserved in formaldehyde as a sideshow attraction. It sounds bizarre, but it happened. Those grotesque details add this layer of authenticity.
She even mentions talking to a modern sideshow owner who kept shrunken heads in his house. just to get the vibe right.
So the violence, the danger, the bizarre attractions, the way people were treated and disposed of. It's fiction, but it's heavily rooted in the harsh realities of that time and that specific brutal industry. The spectacle was real, but so was the savagery underneath.
So now we have to pull back from that intense, violent climax in the 1930s and shift perspective completely. Back to Jacob in the nursing home, 90, maybe 93 years old.
And it's such a jarring transition. From the adrenaline of the stampede to the slow, quiet struggle of old age. Physical decay is the main enemy now.
The sources list his ailments so plainly. The fractured hip, the stooped back, the dragging feet, the way he moves with his walker. Shove, drag, wait, drag. 10 inches at a time.
His world has shrunk down to the nursing home routine. And yes, those recurring details. Mushy peas, tapioca, and Depends undergarments. It's the loss of physical autonomy, the loss of dignity.
But it's the mental decline he seems to fear more. Forgetting words, mixing up names his kids, the dog. He feels this horrifyingly vacant space opening up in his mind.
Yeah, for someone whose intellect was his key survival tool for so long, losing that must be terrifying.
And he fights back in small ways. His constant complaints about the food, the nursery food, the pap, it's not just about taste, is it?
No, it's about control. It's about refusing to be infantilized. Pushing the plate away is one of a few ways he can assert his will in a place where almost everything else is managed for him.
This fight for dignity really comes into focus with his rivalry with Mr. McGinty, another resident, the old fart, as Jacob calls him.
McGinty likes to hold court, tell stories to the nurses, and he tells one particular story that just sets Jacob off.
The story about carrying water for the elephants. McGinty claims he did this as a kid and got a better seat at the circus because of it.
And this absolutely infuriates Jacob, because McGinty is claiming this connection, this sort of insider status, based on a flimsy, likely false memory. Well, Jacob lived the circus, the real, brutal, unglamorous circus.
It makes Jacob lash out, call him an old SOB. And then there's this moment of insight Jacob has.
Yeah, he catches himself, and he thinks maybe McGinty isn't lying, not intentionally. Maybe he really believes that he carried water for the elephants.
It's a profound thought about memory and aging, isn't it? How the lines blur, how we construct narratives about our past, maybe incorporating things we wish had happened. McGinty wants the magic, Jacob lived the reality.
Exactly. And Jacob has to live with the fact that the popular memory of the circus is all sparkle, while his memory is full of blood and sawdust and fear.
But then the circus literally comes back into his life, or at least a circus does. He sees it from his window.
A real big cop, a canvas tent, thickly striped in white and magenta. That sight just jolts him. His heart leaps. The past comes rushing back.
That magenta stripe, it's like a trigger. Suddenly he's not just a frail old man, he's got a mission.
Despite the nurses trying to stop him, despite his physical limits, he turns that walker a perfect three-point turn, the source calls it, and starts shuffling.
Inch by painstaking inch, he heads for the park, for the tent. He tells himself he's not coming back until he sees what's left of the show. It's incredible. He's running away again.
At 90-something, it shows that spirit, that connection to the circus, never really died. He still needs that vitality.
So, after all this, the violence, the loss, the long years, how does it all resolve? What happened after the Benzini Brothers show collapsed?
The sources give us a resolution that feels, well, earned, and quiet compared to the chaos. Jacob finds Marlena again.
And she's pregnant, presumably with August's child, but Jacob steps up.
Yes, they build a life together, they raise 5 children, and they keep a connection to the past. They have a place in the country, and living with them are Bobo the chimp and some of the old horses from the show.
And Jacob finally gets to be what he trained for.
He becomes a veterinarian, works at a zoo nearby. He achieves that stable, professional life his parents had sacrificed so much for, using his knowledge for healing, finally.
It's a peaceful picture, but there's one last twist, isn't there? Back in the present day when he runs away to the circus.
Right. He doesn't just go to watch. He talks to the manager, Charlie. He convinces Charlie he can still be useful, sell tickets, says he can still count, won't cheat the rubes.
And Charlie hires him at 90-something years old.
It's this wonderful, triumphant moment. He literally runs away with the circus one last time. And his thought, as he does it, is perfect. Something like,
If they're willing to accept me and my guilty conscience, why the hell shouldn't I run away with the circus?
Exactly. He finds peace not by forgetting the circus or its darkness, but by embracing its pull, its magic, even in old age. He accepts all parts of his life, the good and the bad. It's a remarkable ending. #tag outro.
So when you pull all these threads together from our deep dive, Cornell, the train cars, the cooch tent, Jake Leg, August's violence, Rosie's intelligence.
Yeah.
What you get is this incredibly raw, complex picture of the Depression-era circus.
It really was a world of extremes, wasn't it? You had the genuine magic, Marlena's connection with the horses, Rosie understanding Polish right alongside this grinding, desperate brutality, the red lighting, the abuse.
It feels like the core theme, the thing connecting young Jacob fighting for survival and old Jacob fighting for dignity, is about knowledge, information.
I think so too. Knowledge was power in that world. Jacob's veterinary skills saved him initially. Knowing about August's condition gave him leverage. Figuring out Rosie's language was crucial. Even knowing the meaning of the disaster march was vital information.
It was the currency, more valuable than the $9 a week. It meant survival. It meant being able to anticipate the next disaster, maybe, or in Rosie's case, deliver justice.
Yeah, knowledge was the difference between being just another disposable roustabout and being someone who maybe, just maybe, could navigate that incredibly dangerous environment.
So as we wrap up, here's something to think about, a way to connect Jacob's world to maybe our own. He had the disaster march, that seemingly innocent piece of music that was actually a coded warning for catastrophe.
A signal hidden in plain sight.
All right, so the question for you listening is, what personal disaster march signals might be playing in your own life right now? The small warnings, the things that seem familiar or harmless on the surface, but might actually be telling you something much bigger, much more dangerous is coming.
Are we hearing the melody or are we hearing the real message underneath? It's a good question. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.